Good afternoon. Today is June 22nd. It's about 2:30, and we are following up on our 5-year interview from the last time. The last time we talked, it was you and your brother, and we was more about trying to see the relationship between you and your bro. And so now going forward, we just gonna just these questions are going to be more about you and your pathway to who you are and where you are at the present time, and maybe where you see yourself. All right? And so these questions are just like not really, you know, they're designed just to see where you're at and get some insight. All right. So first, let's start off with what's your name?
Bryson.
Okay, last name?
Lee.
Bryson Lee. And how old are you, Bryson?
13.
13. And what grade are you in?
Well, I'm going to 8th.
Going to 8th grade, okay. And what school do you go to?
Atworth Middle School.
Okay, all right. You know anything about that school?
Mm-mm.
Okay, all right. You got anything you're looking forward to as you go to this new school, or anything, any thoughts about it?
Oh, it's my current school home.
Oh, your current school, okay. Okay, all right, all right. So let's talk about, what do you like to do for fun?
I like to play on my laptop.
Okay, play on your laptop. Play what?
Roblox.
Roblox. Okay, that's a what kind of game is that?
It's like a game where you can play different kinds of games on it.
Okay.
Like a game, but it has different games on it.
Oh, okay, all right. So, how long have you been into that?
Since I was in first grade. Yeah, first grade.
Okay, all right. What is or are some of your favorite foods?
Sesame chicken and yeah, that's it.
That's it. Okay. Has your favorite food changed, like over time, like from maybe like the last time we talked? What was your favorite food like maybe back then?
I think it was fried chicken.
Okay. And you say it's sesame what?
Chicken.
Sesame chicken. Okay. All right. What are some of the most recent TV shows or movies that you like?
I like Dance Moms, and the last movie I watched was I think Descendants. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Dance Moms and Descendants. Okay. What? Tell us about what was it about? What is it that you like about those Dance Moms? Let's start with that.
Dance Moms is just very interesting, and with Descendants, I've been watching that for a very long time, and it's like I've just been watching it for a very long time, and I just like the franchise, because it's like I don't know, I just like the characters, and yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about what are some of your favorite artists or music, or or songs that you rock into these days?
I only listen to two people. The first one is Melanie Martinez, and the other one is Alita.
Really? Okay. Now, just for the record, you went to go see Alita, right? You had a show she had in the A. How was that?
It was good.
Yeah. Was it what you thought it might be? Like, was it like, what? I mean, it was good. Was it like the videos or the songs? Did it sound the same or what?
Well, the way she sings is not the same as she sings in her songs, so it was different from the songs and her singing.
And you were cool with that, or how you feel about that?
I was cool with it, but I thought she was gonna be singing differently. But
Okay. Uh, was that the first time or that you had been to a show?
it was
Okay.
the third time.
The third time. Wow. Okay. Okay. So going to see her live and just being in that place, being in places as a young person, as you're 13 now, you know, you already been that 3 times. That's kind of nice. Your mom let you do that. But how does it feel just to be out? Being around, seeing like people who like that. What was it like being in that atmosphere? Was anything that you took away from it or observed being at the show?
Mm, it was a lot of people. It was some people there. It was mostly teenagers there.
Okay. And you expected that, or you didn't expect
I
it?
expected it.
Okay. 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 What else? What else? Maybe you observed or took away?
Mm, that was it.
Okay. What about you? Like, did you feel, as a young person, I don't know, like when you go to a place like that, did you feel any type of way being like, were you able to get into it, like not have any anxiety or afraid to sort of show out? Did anything like that occur? Okay, you were there, you were in it. That's what's up. Okay. All right. Next question. Do you have an online presence? Like a social. Yeah. Okay. What social media do you use?
I use Instagram and TikTok, and that's it.
Okay. All right. And what's some of the things that you post?
I don't post.
Oh, okay. You just be looking at. Okay. All right. Next question. What do you mostly do with your time?
Well, we don't have school, so I either call my friends or I just look at TV or play on my computer.
Okay, look at TV, play your computer. Okay. Now I asked that question because what you do today will reflect on you tomorrow. Like those are some wise words, right? I want you to remember that, right? Like, if the things you do today will reflect on you tomorrow. So like if you, imagine if you were, let's say you're working on a puzzle. If you're working on a puzzle today, then, at some point in time you'll get closer to finishing the puzzle the next day, right? You getting, but it's the idea of sort of watching what you do with your time. Let's just say you eat chips all day. If you eat sesame chicken all day, imagine how that will affect you tomorrow if that's what you do with your time. So you want to be conscious about what you do with your time, man, brother, right? Because what you do today affects you tomorrow. All right, remember that, okay? All right. Do you read or write when you're not in school?
Well, I don't write, but I read on my phone.
Okay, you read. Okay, all right. And let's talk about the stuff that you read on your phone. So you only read what's on the stuff that's on social media and stuff like that?
Like stories and how stuff has happened.
Okay, stories. What do you mean stories?
Like cases and in situations that have happened. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And the writing. Now, you said you don't really write, and is that something that you? It's probably a habit, maybe, but it's an advisable thing to write. It's just like you're reading. It's advisable. It's advisable for you to write. It's like the last thing I mentioned to you about what you do today will sort of reflect tomorrow. reading and writing. The more that you read and the more that you write will have a great effect on your ability to comprehend and to comprehend people and comprehend ideas, but also to express your feelings and ideas. But only if you practice reading and writing. You have to do both to be able to learn how to express yourself and understand others. Okay? Remember that. How much exercise do you get?
Well, I don't exercise a lot. I don't exercise anymore. I used to last year, but my mom, she stopped paying for it as it was time to go back to school.
Okay. All right. So you were kind of focusing on the regimen of going to that program that your mom had you in. Okay. All right. How much water do you drink?
I drink a decent amount of water.
A decent amount. What's a decent amount of water?
Like either 2 or 4, or maybe less a day.
Okay. All right. Water and exercising is very important to get in the habit of. You don't have to have a program. I mean, exercise is important, as you know. Do you think exercise is important? Do you think that? Okay, that's good that you think that. If you think it's important, you're a young brother, so get in. I want you to get into I want you to understand that you got to make things happen. It's like you got to make things happen. I'm gonna walk around this house, or I'm gonna do some squats in the house. You just need the tell yourself, I just need to do something. To get your heart rate up and okay. All right. Okay. This is a kind of interesting question. Next one. What does it mean to you to be an adult?
I think to be independent and go to work and try to live the life that you want to live.
Okay, to be independent, to go to work and try to live the life that you want to live. Okay. All right. And that's kind of like what you see from the adults around you and close and far? Okay. To be independent, to go to work and live the life you want to live. Okay. Well, I'll tell you this other thing of being an adult, responsibility. You get added the more of an adult that you are, you have responsibilities. All right, let's go to another question. Do you have or what are your aspirations or goals or dreams?
Is to do good in school and get a decent job when I'm done.
To do good in school, that's a goal of yours, to do good in school? Okay. You want to do good in school so you can get a decent job. Okay. All right. So you want to be able to have. That sounds like you're moving toward being independent. You want to be independent, and you want to, and you seem, and that sort of assumes you understand to be independent. You got to be able to get a good job, and to get a good job, you got to do good in school. Is that the connection that you made? Okay, because I don't want to put things in your head. But yeah, I think that's a goal that you have, huh? What is it that any particular thing, right? Because that's a broad thing to say, to get a good job. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then also to do good in school. Like, when you say do good in school, that is a goal. Are you, how can I say, you willing to work to do good in school? You willing to work at the things that you need to work on? You willing to do that, huh? Okay. And what type of direction that you foresee that you would like to go in as far as getting a job, or either I want to offer you this. Getting a job is one thing, but also you could open your mind into owning something. You could start a business. Working for somebody is one thing, like you said, getting a job. But then opening a business is another thing you can do. You don't have to work for somebody. Nobody who we are, I'm your uncle. I don't own my own business, nor nor your mom's, and nobody, in your immediate, that I know of owns anything. But that is a thing. You don't have to always work for somebody. You know, you definitely. But what type of thing are you interested in working in? What type of?
A veterinary.
A veterinarian. Okay, all right. Is that something that's always been there, or when did that come about?
When I had first got the cat, and it was this one time I wanted to go to PetSmart, and my mom, she was like, "Oh, if you always want to be by pets, you should get a job as a veterinarian, and they make real good money."
Okay, all right, all right. Have you looked into that more than after that conversation? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. When you think back from the last interview and just living, what are some things you thought would be different, about the people and places around you?
I wonder. You say that again?
Yeah. So when you think back to the last interview that we had 5 years ago, right? You were like, I think, like 9 years old, right? Something like that. Like, what are some things that you thought would be different that now that you're 13, that that when you were 9, you were thinking that things would be this way when you get older, but now that you are older, what are some things you thought that would be different about people or places?
Well, I thought back then the house would have had looked different. It kind of does look different, but I would have thought the house looked different, and I would have thought that I would have thought that mommy would have got a new car. She did get a new car, and I would have thought that I wouldn't have thought that we would have got a pet this soon, but we did, and that's it.
Okay. All right. What do you well, let's go back to that. What about people or places?
Oh, people.
Yeah. Anything that you thought about people then that as you got older, you had some different opinions about people?
I didn't really have no. Well, that was in 2019. I was in second grade. Well, I didn't really have friends back then. Now I have a decent amount. And I didn't think I was gonna have a phone, but I do have a phone, and I was gonna say something. I forgot what I was gonna say.
About people, like any observations about people back then that you had an idea about people maybe, and now since you're older, you see more about what people are compared to what you thought. Anything like that you want to say?
Well, back then I thought people were nice, because I was elementary school. People in elementary school, they were nice, but now middle school, you can see how different some people are.
Okay. You can see that. Okay. All right. What about places? Any differences in what you thought places would be, or how places would, compared to then to now, like, anything like that? Okay, all right, next question. What do you appreciate more now than you did in the past?
Mm, I appreciate, cause back then, now I appreciate the things that I have, but back then, can you say the question again?
Yeah. What do you appreciate more now than you did in the past?
The things that I have.
Things you have. What do you mean by the things you have? Like your clothes? You mean? Like,
And my own bedroom and my personal stuff and
okay.
the cat.
Okay. All right. Question's about to get a little more deep. Okay. What does it mean to be fair?
Be fair. Well, to be fair, if you don't do something good, then you have to face the consequence for doing something bad.
Okay. Now I have another question here about what does it mean to do the right thing? That sounds like, is there a distinction to you about fair and doing the right thing? Is that the same thing to you? Yeah, fair. What does it mean to be fair, and what does it mean to do the right thing?
Well, to do the right thing, like when someone asks you to vacuum or clean up and you do it, so then when that person comes and they see that you have done something good, then you won't face anything bad for it, and then they will see that you get stuff done.
And you think that's doing the right thing? That's what that is? Okay. What about fair?
And if they tell you to do something, and if they say clean up the living room because the living room looks dirty, but then you say you're gonna do it, but then as time goes by, you dirty up the living room more, and then when that person comes, you try to clean it at the last minute, and then they see, and then they see that you didn't clean up, so you get in trouble. So you didn't do something good, and you didn't do something good, and they don't do something good by taking your stuff away.
Okay.
And then you have to clean up.
Let me offer you this about fair. Because I like what you said about the right thing, but about fair, let me give you a scenario about something that's not fair to give you a different perspective. If, like you mentioned, cleaning the living room, if somebody asks you to clean the living room, but then they decide to they purposely throw the cat litter on the ground, and they throw cereal on the ground, but then they ask you to clean it up, but they purposely do it. I would say that that's not fair. You would agree, right? That's an example of something that is not fair. So in the way of something that is fair, it's like, well, if somebody asks you to do something, but then let's say they ask you to clean the living room, but then they ask you to clean the bathroom and the driveway. And you're like, well, that's not fair. Why I gotta clean everything? So that's something to think about. Okay. All right. Next question. Do you judge people or catch yourself having some preconceived ideas about them?
Like negative?
Doesn't have to be negative. It could be, because judging could be anything that you don't know to be a fact, that you decide in your head. That's judging. You can look at something and say, you can look at a man with a suit, and whatever comes to you, it's whatever comes to you, because you don't really know, because that person hadn't said with the suit. That's judging.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be. It can be negative or positive.
Can you say a question over?
Yeah. Do you judge people, or catch yourself having some preconceived ideas? And I don't know if you preconceived means that things that you thought of on your own.
Yeah, the preconceived.
You do that? Okay. Now that's a question to sort of, do you do that often? Do you find yourself doing that often? Okay. It's not necessarily a good thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing either. It only is something that how much you run with it, right? Like if you have a preconceived idea about a person, and then you decide to go. If you look at let's just go with the idea of the man with a suit. If you look at a man in a suit and you think, oh, he a good guy, he's not gonna rob me, and you leave all your money out and you walk away, right? That's a preconceived idea. You thinking he not gonna see by you going that far. That's something you probably shouldn't do, because you're acting on your own ideas. You see what I mean? So you really don't want to act. It is something to sort of pay attention to, the judging, but really more so how you act on the negative or positive that you preconceive. Okay. All right. Next question is, do you know someone or have seen a situation where someone did not do the right thing, or who was not fair?
This one time, I was in. We'll say question again.
Do you know a situation where somebody did not do the right thing, or a person who was not fair?
Yeah. So I have this friend. He has a stepdad. His stepdad was not really the best to him. So it was this time where my friend, he has a little sister, and it's like he has stuff, and his little sister is a little aggressive. So it was this one time he had these glasses, and his little sister was jumping on his bed, and the glasses he had, they were kind of expensive. So his sister was jumping on the bed, and she fell on the glasses, and then snapped in half, and then he got upset, and then he told his mom, and then his mom yelled at him and not her. But if he did that to her stuff, then he will get in trouble. So it's like,
you thought that's not fair. Okay. What about doing the right thing? What about a situation where somebody did not do the right thing? Let me do something else. I have this friend. That so he had a friend, and his friend was they're busy a lot. That's what he told me. They're busy a lot, and he likes for people to call him. And when you don't call him, he starts to get a little upset, because I don't know why he just gets upset because his friend didn't like to call him a lot. So he just started talking a lot of bad stuff about them to me, and I was like, and I didn't say nothing. I was like, oh, he just started talking a lot of bad stuff about them. But then when that friend eventually did call them, he started acting all nice, like nothing had happened. Okay. All right. So that question is more so to sort of, it sounds like you have an understanding of right and wrong and what's fair, and you're navigating that with the people around you. Okay. That's a tricky situation, especially just having an understanding, and you can see how people are when you have that understanding. Okay. All right. Next question. What does money mean to you?
Money means to me that money. Like, I have money and I'm not just gonna spend it all up. I'm gonna spend some, but I'm not gonna spend it all up because it's some things that I want. Is I like to buy stuff, but if I was to spend it all up, I wouldn't be able to buy it. So that's what money means to me.
Okay. All right. I want to go back to the right and wrong thing. All right. In your opinion, is right or wrong determined by A, your mom's, or B, is the police, or C, God? Who determines right or wrong?
Say C.
Okay. All right. Next question. What is your religious belief?
God.
God? Okay. All right. You want to expound on that anyway?
Expound.
I mean, you want to say more about that? That's a big word. Expound. You can look that up. But that means more. And you want to say more about that or not?
I don't have nothing to say about that.
Okay. All right. All right. Tell me, what do you know about how a doctor or a dentist gets paid? What do you know about that? What's your idea on how a doctor or a dentist gets paid when you go to see him or her?
I think they get paid like once an hour.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's something to think about. See your head turning. You should look into that. All right, because that's not how they get paid. All right. What is your definition of respect?
If somebody's talking, you let them talk and you just don't talk over them or start singing randomly over them. Because I have a friend that you could be talking about something and then he just start randomly singing. But if you do that to him, then he gonna go on a whole rampage.
Okay. Now, what's interesting about what you just said is it's you being respectful. What about the other way around? Respect that you are due. That's something to think about. It's a very good thing that you think about to be respectful, but it's another thing to think about on a person knowing what some respect to be due to you. You know, I say you are worthy of being respected. You know, and you know you should say that. You know that you if you are disrespected, you should let so and so know that, hey, I didn't like what you did. You know, it's both ways. It's definitely the way you say it by your first answer, like how you give respect, but it's also important for you to demand that you ought to be respected. Okay? All right. Next question. What is your definition of authority?
Holding the door for somebody when they're behind you and they're about to walk out the door.
Okay. That sounds more like chivalry. That's chivalry. Authority is like the teacher in front of the class, the principal who's the head of the school, your mom who's the head of the house, um, those type of things. The police, that's authority. Somebody who's in charge of something. That's the idea of authority. What you describe is chivalry or being nice. That's what that is. Okay. All right. Next question. When and who was the last time someone told you thank you or I love you?
Thank you. Was yesterday.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And who?
I was going to the beach, and it's this gate that tried to go through, and then once this woman, she was behind me, and I hold the gate for her because she was behind me.
Okay, and she said thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What about I love you?
It was my father that the last time we were on the phone.
Okay, he told you he loves you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when was this?
I think that it was Wednesday, the day we were about to go out of town.
Okay. All right. Now, let's go with the next thing about that with you. When was the last time you told somebody thank you, or you told somebody I love you?
The same day yesterday.
Okay.
Somebody did the same thing.
Okay. You said thank you. And what about the last time you told somebody I love you?
That Wednesday on the phone.
Okay, with your pops. Okay.
The thank you was when you had the
Oh, okay. Yes. Now that question, those questions are designed to. Those are most, I thank you and I love you. Those are some, sort of close things, right? I want you to think about to routinely to tell people those things, to say it, especially I love you. You want to get into, saying nice things to people. The more you say it, the more you'll recognize when you don't get it. Right? Because if you tell other people thank you and I love you, you'll recognize that you'll recognize how it makes them feel, and then you'll also be able to receive it when somebody tells it to you. Okay, receive those emotions of it. All right, next question. When was the last time you told a lie? You can't remember. Okay. All right. Okay, that's not a bad thing. Okay. But, all right, let's move on. What is something that you worked and tried hard at? Something that you worked on or something that you was trying real hard at?
I was trying to build this chair, and the pieces I didn't make it right, and I had to rebuild the whole thing.
Okay, you had to rebuild. So you were trying to put the chair together. Okay, and you say you worked hard at that. And what was it about working hard? Like, particularly, what did you describe working hard and trying? What was it that you were doing?
Looking at the instructions and putting the pieces together, because the pieces they just kept slipping off, and had to go try to find some screws, because the screws was falling off the table and the carpet.
Okay.
And it was kind of hard to pick that on because it just kept falling.
Okay. When it comes to trying and working hard at things, is that something that you were told to do, or something instinctive that You know that you
Instinctive.
instinctive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a very good thing to do because I mean I admire that, and we'll see how you go with that. But I think that working hard at something, trying to figure out something, as a young man like yourself, you're gonna have to, because that's what learning is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know, learning is that thing, and if you can just keep trying hard at things, all right. All right. Next question. What is something that you need to work on, or something you have not been doing, but you know you need to do? Something that you need to work on, or something that you know that you haven't been doing that you need to do. See how that's the opposite of working on something? What is something that you know you need to work on, but something, or something that you know you need to do but you haven't been doing?
Work on my attitude.
You need to work on your attitude. Okay, tell me about what is it about your attitude you need to work on?
It's like I don't like to get bothered too much because when I get bothered too much, that's when I start to get an attitude, and then I start to get annoyed.
Bothered. That's a general thing. Which bothered? You don't like to get bothered too much. What does that mean?
Like, when it's like when someone keeps on calling your name or just calling me
Okay.
on the phone or just in person.
Okay. And when you say your attitude, what do you mean by you need to work on your attitude? What do you mean by that?
I get easily irritated and easily mad.
Okay. Okay. All right. And you know you need to work on that. Okay. All right. Well, let me offer you this in the sense of, as a young person, having control of your emotions is really what it means to be an adult. You know, everybody gets irritated or mad, but if you can't control your emotions, you can imagine where that may lead you, right? And so it's not saying you shouldn't feel that way, it's just how you act on those things, right? All right. So that's all the questions, you know, but I do have a couple of statements of like words of wisdom to share, so that you could probably take for the next 5 years or so. All right, these are what sections I call words of wisdom. All right. Words of wisdom number 1. Practice discipline. Okay? Practice discipline regularly. Regularly do something that is a challenge to you, or something that you can deny yourself. Right? You want to practice discipline either of those ways. Okay? These things are important for a young person like yourself to start early as you are, to get in the practice of doing something that's hard, or even denying yourself. Because as an adult, that's one of the tenements to solving problems, or to move, to solving problems or getting better at things. Doing anything takes practice and it is hard. And if you can regularly learn how to keep practicing, working through hard things, when something comes up hard, you won't give up so easily. That's the purpose, that you don't give up so easily or think, I don't know how. Well, of course you don't know how, because if you're looking for the answer from the start, you might not know the answer, but you just got to try. So just keep practicing and discipline, and even the idea I said of denying yourself. You know, it may be the chair, trying to fix your chair is one thing, but denying yourself, you know, is another way of practicing discipline. I'm not going to eat no chips today, or I'm not going to eat past 7 o'clock or something. But get in the habit of denying yourself. That when you deny yourself on a regular basis, because that means you have self-control. That teaches you self-control. Like, you know, I mentioned how we were saying earlier about controlling your attitude. If you haven't practiced something like not eating chips, right? You know, like if you say I'm not gonna eat chips and you actually do it, that's a success. And then when it comes to saying about your emotions or getting upset, you would have a better way to controlling your emotions, because you've been practicing how to not do eating chips. And these things build up, they go in other areas. But you gotta try one thing and build up to other things. You gotta see a success in practicing discipline, okay? And as you get older, you know, there's no telling, there's nothing that you can't do if you start practicing discipline right now, okay? Next thing is, I mentioned this earlier, is regularly read and write, young brother, all right? You want to get in the habit of regular reading. And when I say reading, not really short lines, you know, something 2 lines. You want to get in the habit of reading paragraphs, chapters, and moving on to books. But you want to read. You want to practice reading and writing, right? You know, writing is a thing that helps you learn how to get out how you feel. You could sit quiet and get insight of how you feel, but when you write it, you get better at saying it in words, because writing helps you make a complete sentence, right? If you remember how you were talking to me and there were some things that you were at a loss of words to say, you know how you felt on the inside, but you kind of got stuck on how to say it. That's because you got to practice writing. Once you practice writing, you'll learn. The more you practice reading and writing, you'll be able to know the words to say that matches how you feel. The only way you can learn that unless you start practicing learning how to read and write. Then, like I mentioned earlier, you'll be able to understand other ideas that people write. Because when you're reading, you're like, I don't know what they're saying. Well, because, you know, that's going to happen, because writing is in, some people can write elementary, some people can write like very advanced. For you or any person, the more you read, people, you know, you're about to go to the 8th grade, right? If you read on the 8th grade level, when you talk to your chat GPT, you know, mention about, I want to, give me a paragraph that's on the 8th grade level. You'll get to see where you're really at. Can you understand 8th grade level reading? All right, and same thing with writing, you know? So you want to kind of get to your level where your grade is at. So as you get to be older, you'll be able to understand bigger things, you know? Mm-hmm. All right. And so that concludes this interview. I want to thank you for your honest answers, man. And I hope that you grow from these questions in the next 5 years. And I hope you, when we put this up, you know, look at it and you'll get to see where you are. And, you know, hopefully you see some things that maybe you didn't see as we sat here and talked. All right? Appreciate it. Much love to you. All right?